Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to you. It's a pleasure to have you today. I'm glad, I am privileged, I am happy to see you today, to interact with you on our today's business talk. So always look forward, My name is Jonan Kandwanaho, and I'm the Managing Director at Jonaki Holdings Limited. And at Jonaki Holdings Limited, we offer credit, we give loans, we're a microfinance institution. So if you have money needs, we are here to serve you and to help you. Check us out on our website at www.jonakiholdingslimited.com. I'm glad you tuned in. And the rest of the team, we always meet from 5:30 to 6 every Friday of the week. And we meet here to interact, learn from each other. The Bible says in Proverbs, iron sharpens iron. I know the logic is that everything that you know, if you share it, the more you get to learn more. Because if the cup is full, you need to overflow it. You need to pour out so that you can add more. So you can actually not learn more if you've not poured out. Now it is your responsibility. Yes, Mayas, you're welcome. I can see you're on. So it is your responsibility that everything that you learn, you pour out. You pour out. Support someone else to learn. Teach someone else. That's when you create space in your head. That's when you create space in your vessel to learn more. So this information that we have, the experience that we have, is not for hoarding. It's not for hoarding. So until the information that you have, until the knowledge that you have is shared with someone else, it might not be as helpful because you'll be limiting its application. If I learn one or two things from you, I'll go and apply it, and then it will benefit me. And then someone else will learn from me and apply it and benefit as well. So you'll have a chain of command. To the extent that in case somewhere, when you get stuck, you never know who in that chain of command will help you, or even your staff, or even your generation to come. I am talking about businesses that are going to thrive or transcend generations. So you're serving that person, or you're mentoring or supporting that person, that he might at a particular point support someone in your generation. That is the gist of the matter. Yes, so that was not today's topic, but I felt in my mind that I'll share that so that we can know which mind to go with as we learn. So it's important that as you learn, you offload. You learn, you offload. You share with as many people as you can, as fellow businessmen as you can, so that we can support each other to grow. Because in a way we shall be capacitating ourselves, we shall be supporting ourselves, we shall be enlarging ourselves, and that's how we're going to grow. Otherwise, if we hold the information or the knowledge or the experience that we have, we shall be doing ourselves and our companies and our businesses a disservice. So kindly do your business and yourself and your generation to come a service by sharing whichever that you have, the experience that you have, the resources that you have, the business opportunities that you have, anything that you have, because anything that you share tends to multiply, and anything that you hold tends to die. So with that introduction, I'd like to go straight to today's topic. And our today's topic is quite interesting. It is thriving rather than surviving in business. Surviving is a term that means, existing for the sake of existing. You didn't want to survive. Someone in a survival mode, in Uganda they call it melealero. You're living on a daily. Like, eating for today, planning for today. You're little, sorry to use the term if it's abusive, but you're a bit myopic. You're looking just in your front. And yet, any other person who thinks transgeneration, who thinks future, who thinks beyond himself, should think beyond Melealero. So if you're to think beyond Meriarero, that means you have to transit from the survival mode. Because survival mode is defined by, Meriarero. You're looking at today. Even if you're closing a deal, you're looking at today. What is it in there for me today? You're not looking at the future prospects that might arise from that situation. But just because you're hungry, just because your vision is a little myopic, you're looking at just close by. What is it in for me right now? Now. Now, that's a very, very tricky view. It's not a very good view. It's not a visionary view. It is not an advisable view in business. Now, when we take it to the aspect of business and your business is in survival mode, that means every day that it survives, you're like, thank God. You're living on your toes. You're not sure whether it will end this week. If it ends the week, you're not sure whether it will survive the weekend. Something like that. Now, that is basically existing. Now, whether humanly or spiritually, we are not created, and our businesses are not created for that mode. Especially if you have a Christian background. The Lord did not create you or even your business to survive just for the sake of surviving. You're not meant to be surviving for the sake of surviving at an individual level, but also at a business level. It is not. So if your business is in that mode, if your company is in that mode, or even if it's you yourself and you do not have the business and you're in that mode, survival mode, then no, you're not operating in a spiritual principle. You're not operating with a spiritual mindset. The mindset that is guiding you, the mindset that is ruling you, the mindset that is paving direction for your progress is not anchored on the Word of God. So it's time to check yourself, and it's time to align to God's will. It's time to align to the right thing which you're created to do. So meaning that if you're in survival mode, either at an individual level or a business level, it's now time to transition from survival mode to thrival mode, from surviving to thriving. Now, we used to study something in biology. There used to be some animals. Someone might remind me those who studied biology. But there used to be some animals, when things get very tough, they tend to hibernate. And in hibernating, their metabolism reduces. Now, I'm using a bit of technical words, but you'll get to understand them along the way. So their metabolism, a little reduces. Metabolism, meaning that to produce energy to work, to produce energy to move, to produce energy to do any other thing, you need food. And metabolism acts on that food to avail you the energy. So most of those animals would hibernate. In hibernation, they would be less active. And much of the time, they would be dormant or passive in a way. Meaning that they'd use less food and then survive for long. Now, I'd use that example to define if the business is surviving. You're in that mode. You're firefighting. You're cost cutting. Vision is not your thing. You're not planning for the future. You're firefighting. You're just surviving. And it's unfortunate. You cannot allow to survive in that mode. You cannot, because you're not certain. You're not certain of whether you will progress or you end this year or you end this month or not. And it's a very, very terrible mode to operate in. Especially if it's a business, it's a very, very terrible mode to operate in. Now, here is the mode that you deserve. Here is the mode that you can transition to. Here is the mode that you're fit for, especially if you're watching right now. Because could be thirst for knowledge, could be thirst for exploration, could be thirst for growth that brings you around here. So you're not meant to be operating in the survival mode, but you are meant to be operating in the thrival mode. Just given that you've committed your time to come here and watch through and listen and put your time and your data. So you're meant to be in thrival mode. Now, what defines thriving? What defines thrival mode? Is health, is growth, is increase. Those are the words that define thriving. So you need to thrive at a personal level, but also you need to thrive as a business or as a company. You need to be growing. They might be giving an excuse, because now it's almost everyone's excuse. COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. It is true that COVID-19 has disorganized businesses, has distorted trends, has created new inventions and innovations, has turned things upside down. Granted, yes. But the playground is leveled. COVID-19 was not selective to which company to apply and which one not to apply. It's a leveled ground. If it's affecting all sorts of businesses. So you have no excuse whatsoever. You have no solace whatsoever. Why you should not progress? Whereas the other companies are progressing, why are you not progressing as well? Why are you not thriving as well? So that excuse, yes, it is there. It is granted. It is there. Yes, I allow. And it has also partly affected us. But this is not the time to console ourselves. It's not the time to cry. It's not the time to hide. It's not the time to hibernate. It is not. This is not the time to tire. It is not. It is rather the time to progress. It is the time to move forward. Yes, it has happened. So what? What's the way forward? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Especially if you're to transition from survival mode to thrival mode. From a mode of dormancy to a mode of increase, to a mode of growth, to a mode of health, both at an individual and a business level. I'll give an analogy at a personal level. The time you should encourage yourself most, especially in the area of exercising. For example, if you work out in the morning, if you're an early person who does exercises, run around or work out in the gym or whatever, the most time to encourage yourself is when it rains, especially if you work out outdoor. When it rains should be the most impelling point for you to actually move out. When it's cold, when it's not conducive, that should be the most appropriate time to step out. Because then that's when your commitment is tested. That's when your faith is tested. That's when your motivation is tested. That's when your vision is tested. That's when your seriousness is tested. Our seriousness, our commitment, our energies, our vision are not tested when things are moving well, when things are moving straight, when things are working out as planned. No. They are only tested when things are turning upside down. They are most tested when things are not moving as planned, which is not any different from the situation we're in right now. This COVID time is a testing time. And it's a time to segregate the boys from men. It's a time to sieve. So I wouldn't wish that you get knocked out. I wouldn't pray that. I wouldn't wish that. Now is the time to re-energize. Now is the time to kusinzira in Uganda, to anchor and then set off. Now is the time. It is not the time to hibernate. So there are a few things that you might have to look at. There are a few things that you have to look at in order to enable you transition, not only transition from survival to thrival mode, but also to continue thriving. And one of the most important things is the changing trend. The changing trend. Even before COVID, trends have been changing. And whoever holds to the old, whoever holds to the previous, has been knocked out or left behind in whichever industry. So lots of things have been changing. There have been lots of change in technology. For example, if you've been using word of mouth, you've been using the physical movement to market your business, trotting offices, nowadays Some offices, they cannot allow you inside because of the COVID. You cannot pitch because we no longer have gatherings. We no longer have conferences. We no longer have workshops and seminars. So you cannot pitch through such modes. So what's the way forward? The trend has changed. From pitching one-on-one through conferences and networking sessions in some gatherings, workshops, to now social media, to now internet, to now technology. Trends have changed. The trend has changed. There's been advancement in technology and approach to things. So if you hold on to the previous method that was existent, you're quite likely to get out of business. I won't predict doom, but this is the reality. This is the reality. So now is the time to explore which options are available to you to use to market your things that you sell. Whether you're farming, you have cows at your farm, now is the time to think how you can market them if you want to sell them. Whether it is your goats, whether it is your products, whether it is the food, the restaurants have adjusted. Deliveries, touchless deliveries. Menus where you just scan with your mobile phone and just scan a menu. You don't have to touch and then open pages. No. Scan the code, look at the food available, place your order. Why? Because you were avoiding contact with the menu because of COVID. So you have to adjust. You have to step up or else you get out of business. So you have to monitor trend. If your business has to thrive, if your business has to progress, you have to monitor trends. So it doesn't matter the industry you belong in. It doesn't matter the industry. Things change. New innovations come up. So you have to adopt and innovate. If the trend has changed, innovate and progress with the rest. Because whoever does not innovate and progress will get knocked out of business. So now is not the time to hold on to systems that we started, to hold on to things that, the traditions that we had. Now is the time to adjust and move forward. Now is the time to scratch your mind and innovate. Irrespective of the industry you're in, irrespective of the business you're doing, now is the time than never before. Now is the time than never before. The other key thing you may need to look at is what we call in business fragility. And fragility. And fragility comes from the word, ant as known, and then fragility from fragile. Now, fragile is something that is a little brittle and can break suddenly, like a glass. Because if you're fragile in such a time, is when businesses get out of business. Interesting. Businesses get out of business. So meaning that if you're fragile, if you do not have a shock absorber, it is most likely you're going to get out of business. So you need to look at based on your industry, based on what you're doing, you need to look at what industry you're operating in, what you are doing, and ask yourself, how do I shock up myself? How do I shock up myself to absorb the shock of the COVID-19, to absorb the shock of the change in the industry that you're operating in? You need to double check that. You need to double check that and grow a thick skin so that you're not fragile as a business. So that you're not fragile as a business. The other key thing, now is not the time to lay off employees. Now is not the time. You might think it is a quick solution, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Because that means scaling down. It will not push you to think outside the box. Because anyone else would think in that line. So what makes you unique? What would make you unique is to think outside the box and use an approach that is not as commonly applied by anyone else. Now, put yourself in your staff's shoes. Now is not the right time to kick them off the job. Because time might come and you need them, and they're nowhere. And they're nowhere. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. If you didn't stand with me as an employee during this time, so I might not be able to stand with you when things turn upside down. Now you might think I'm going to knock off a few and leave a few guys that I can walk along with. That's a lie. Even the guys who keep there will know that they are not in that business to stay. They'll know that if things get tougher and tougher, they are the next in the queue. So what will give them confidence to serve beyond self, to keep your business afloat? If they see their colleagues off the hook, if they see their colleagues knocked off business, knocked off their jobs and employment, they will get destabilized as well. So they will not have the confidence to put in, to support you the way they would have supported you had you stood your ground. And if you stand your ground, I guarantee you that you start scratching your head to think outside the box and think of the alternatives. If you've been operating like this mode and the expenses are keeping constant, I'm keeping all the stuff intact, what is it I should do to make sure I increase the revenue, I increase the income? That will encourage you as the owner of the business, but also the staff themselves. And you need to be open to them. You tell them, you know what? Laying off staff is not the way out. Now is the time to think. Now is the time to think, to explore different options that we can use to generate more income. Because this is what is at hand. We need to progress. We need to grow. We need to thrive. And laying you off is not an option. Now, the zeal, the commitment that you're going to realize from the staff is going to be overwhelming. You will come to give a testimony. So don't use the normal mode. Don't use the normal trend. Just because ABCD has laid off, I'm also going to lay off. Now is the time to scratch your head and think how you can address it. Now is the time to scratch your head and think how you can address it. And it will help you to get innovative, irrespective of the industry you're operating in, irrespective of the business you're running. It will help you, including your staff, because you need to press them, you need to tell them the truth, and they need to think outside the box, or else they're out of business. And they're being out of business, they're out of employment, they're being out of income. So it has to come out very, very clearly. The other interesting bit as I come towards the closure is budget. Budget. Now, this is not the first time I'm talking about the budget. It is important that you have a budget, both at an individual level and at a business or a company level. You need a budget. If you do not plan for your resources through budgeting of where they should go, you'll keep wondering where they went. If you do not budget for your money or plan where it should go, you'll keep wondering where it went. And it's so dire for a business. Just because your income tripled does not warrant changing of office. Does not warrant disposing of the furniture and buying new furniture, even when the old furniture is still working. The budget is meant to guide you in that line. What is a priority? What is a budget? Is it on budget? Is it not? It also helps you make your decisions very fast. Some things you don't have to sleep over them, over discuss them. Is it on budget or not? Unless it adds value to the business itself. Unless it's an innovation and it can be considered. That can be discussed, but budget is very pertinent. Especially if you grow. Guys, it might be easy to cope along, it might be easy to survive somehow. If the business is still small, you can ably run it. But if it grows and you do not have the budget to run it on, it's confusion. It is total chaos. The priority becomes non-priority and non-priority becomes priority. And that's total confusion. And that can not only cause the decline in business, but also closure, total shutdown. That's how bad it can get. It's important that you budget, and budget. I don't know how more I can emphasize it. But you need to budget. As a business, at an individual level, budget. Plan for where your resources should go. And you'll enjoy it more especially if your business grows. Because decisions will become very easy and you'll become stable in business. The last one, as I close, you've always heard the adage of customer is king. It is important that amidst this situation, COVID-19, survival, all the things, it is important that you keep the customers at the back of your mind. They should actually be the engine for the survival of your business. Now is not the time, if you're meant to add 1 teaspoon, two teaspoonfuls of sugar in the juice that you make. Now is not the time to cut down just because you want to save. Now is not the time to save at the expense of the clients. Now is not the time. Now is not the time to okuba enjawulo on clients. Okuba enjawulo on clients. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. Now is not the time to dilute the juice that you give your clients in your restaurant in order to produce much more juice than you'd have produced if it was concentrated. Now is not the time. And never should it come at any particular point. Because clients are the ones that are enabling you survive in that business that you're doing. They're the ones that are supporting that company that you're running. They're the ones that are supporting you and your staff. So have it at the back of your mind that customer is king. Your clients are king. So in all your thinking, now is not the time to cut down costs at the expense of the clients. In any case, now is the time to innovate. Now is the time to think how you can make it better for them. Because competition is high, the situation is not as good, so now is the time to think outside the box. To keep them on board. Because they could have different options, they could have different alternatives. Find there's someone else who is providing a better service at a cheaper price. So how will you survive? If you don't treat them well, how will you survive? How will you? So have it at the back of your mind. If you want to thrive, if you're thinking thrive rather than survive in business, customer should be at the center of your service. Customers should be at the center of your product. You should actually develop or produce that product with customers or the taste of the customers at the back of your mind. And if they tell you that something is not good, you don't have to hear it from 1,000 clients. Hear it from 1 or 2 or 3. No, it is time to change. If you become rigid, you're going to get out of business. And if you get out of business, you're going to transition from thrival mode to survival mode because you want to keep afloat. You're going to transit from thrival mode where there's growth or increase or health to the survival mode where it's dormant, where there's dormancy, where there's hibernation, where there's constancy, where there's just normal existence. And you wouldn't want to be in that category. You wouldn't want to be in that category. You wouldn't want to be in that category, both at an individual level, but also at a business level and a company level. So guys, those key points, among others, of course there are quite a number, but I thought I'd share with you that now is the time to think along that line. Think, change your mindset, think along that line. Think thrival rather than survival. This mind that we have has a huge implication on the growth of ourselves, our lives, and our businesses. So it's important that we tap on our minds, we change our mindsets so that we can transition from, if we are in survival mode, to thrival mode. I hope this enriches you. I hope this enables you grow. I hope this speaks to your soul and your spirit and your mind. I hope this informs the next decisions you're going to make. I hope this is infused in your business or even your life. Like I always share, if you learn 1 or 2 things and you not implement, you'll have wasted your time and my time, and you will not benefit. And that means you will not even benefit any other person who would have benefited from you. So I pray that you learn one or two things and apply and implement, because it's only then that you're going to confirm that, this is factual, this is true. And that's when you're going to confirm that, yes, someone can learn from me, that yes, I can support someone, that yes, I can grow. And that's when you're going to confirm all that I share. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. I want to wish you the best of the Friday. Best in the country you're in. Some of you who are out of this country, could be different time zone and timelines and all. But yes, have a blessed evening here in Uganda. Have a great Friday and enjoy the rest of your weekend. God richly bless you. Check out all these videos on our YouTube, Jonan Kandwanaho. I've spoken on different topics, goat rearing, bull fattening, money lending, quite a number of topics. So you can check them out. Subscribe on my YouTube channel or my YouTube page and Facebook page. And check out our website, www.jonakiholdingslimited.com. Thank you, and God richly bless you. Have a great Friday.